It's already official peace. Mr. Speaker, yesterday defined as the only way of enjoying the future in advance. People don't have hope, we have no future. But because we have hope, we believe that tomorrow will be better. The signs are very clear right from who and warriors, believing that they will see what happens in developed countries and some developed states in Nigeria. As against the borrowing trend of APC-led government, this budget has little or no reliance on borrowing, and I want to commend the Legislature for that, because it is not a good thing to pile up loans for the state. The budget seems to look at the vulnerable and the poor citizens of this state by making provision for social investment programs in the budget. The budget also talked about the inflationary trend and the causes of inflation, which is in the negative. And the bill has provided strong fiscal discipline and measures to ensure that our inflation number does not rise beyond what it is today, because it's biting hard on us, especially the poor, the very poor of the society. When you discuss people who are ready to invest their money from abroad, foreign investment and foreign funding, they tell you that there is no openness in Nigeria. I'm glad to know that we are similar to the open governance OGP. That will encourage foreign investment and funding to the state. So in all, I have the mandate of my constituents, the good people of Mutual Peace, to support this money bill wholeheartedly. And I want to urge my distinguished colleagues to support this bill for quick passing. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, member representing the East. The East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues. My name is Honorable Marilyn Okowa-Jaramola, and I represent the good people of the Kano State constituency. Mr. Speaker, I have the mandate of my people to speak in support of the 2024 Appropriation Bill. May 29, 2023 marked the beginning of a new era, the era of more. And yesterday's presentation of the Appropriation Bill is significant to the actualization of the more agenda. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, the budget proposal of we have a budget proposal of 714.4 billion, and the reason for this is not perfect. Given the harsh economic realities occasioned by high inflation, huge exchange rate depreciation, insecurity, and food crisis. Mr. Speaker, one central recurring theme in the 2024 Appropriation Bill is fiscal responsibility. The budget provides for prudent management of resources as well as greater transparency, whilst also ensuring economic stability and growth, which is important for our people. One of the ways the government plans to implement this is by prioritizing budget monitoring and evaluation of projects to ensure value for money on all government expenses. Mr. Speaker, the proposed budget is also very responsive to the plight of Deltans. The current administration appreciates the importance of human and social security schemes. This is seen in provisions for widows, the girl child, the fiscally challenged, and MSMEs. With this in place, Mr. Speaker, the standard of living of Delta will be greatly improved in 2024. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, the budget indeed belongs to this present time. It is simply in alignment with current realities. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, it is a budget of hope and optimism. Mr. Speaker, I support the call by our majority leader for an expeditious passage of the 2024 Appropriation Bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member representing Kanatis. Mr. Gono.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Honorable Barrister Adjournment. I represent the people of the so-called North constituency. I have the mandate of my people to support this money bill. This bill, when passed, is going to create a lot of opportunities for Delta. It will help to grow our economy. It will also boost investment opportunities. It creates a lot of jobs for people. And when there are jobs for people, it will help to reduce hunger in the land. And when hunger is reduced, crime rates will also reduce. So it's a very big budget. I've gone through the budget. I read through the budget. And it's really a budget of hope, and it's a budget of optimism. The budget is a realistic budget. It's not a budget that is bogus, but it's a budget that is which is built within our resources. That is within the income that we are going to realize. We don't want from this budget. It shows we are not going to borrow, rather we will help to reduce the debt burden of the states, which is very good. Because when the debt burden is reduced, it helps people to grow. So I've got the submission already given by my colleagues, by my friends in this house, as mine. And I want to add my voice that we should support these budgets and give it a speedy passage. I wish the budget of hope and optimism. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member representing Mr. Gono, the majority. Mr. Gono, 1.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain honored being Obama, member representing equal people of physical South Constituency 1. Mr. Speaker, I have the mandate to support this budget. Mr. Speaker, I will go through the budget. I know our executive governor may well for the debtors. He is for the development and enforcement of the state. For this, Mr. Speaker, I encourage my distinguished colleagues to support this budget before us for an approval. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member representing Mr. Gono. Mr. Gono, 2.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, dear colleagues, I'm honorable Chief Lagos in Homo. I represent everyone in Civil South Wales 2. Mr. Speaker, dear colleagues, I adopt the powerful rendition of the majority leader and others who have spoken before me as though they are mine. But at the risk of repetition, Mr. Speaker, I will look at the objectives of this budget. The budget seeks to tackle inflation through the control of fiscal discipline and judicious allocation of resources. It therefore means that everybody will get its fair share of the budget. Then 2, I want to take the opportunity to thank His Excellency the Governor of the respect for the rule of law and following due process in line with our approved FSP and other related financial objectives. And also pursuant to various sections of the Constitution, especially 120 to 124, which were here to observe the actual financial ritual every year of budget. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, the summary of the budget also merits advancing data through massive infrastructure renewal, human capital development, and appropriate social investment programs. This is all encompassing of all that it takes to move the state forward. And also in realizing infrastructure, you see a lot of people gain from it. Full vendors of cement, sand, and various objects that we use in construction will trickle down to the benefit of all our people. Also engaging directly, such as engineers, artisans, and other people in the process of building our infrastructure. So if you look at it, all aspects of life, all volitions will be carried along in this 2024 budget, Christ's budget of hope and optimism. And also, the more agenda, the more people get jobs, more people, more opportunity for all, and introducing new reforms, which is the realistic reforms of the more agenda. With all these points, Mr. Speaker, dear colleagues, I join members to give this bill a speedy passage. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Ndokwa is.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues. I am Honorable President because I'm the member representing, and by the grace and mercy of God, the Deputy Majority Whip of this Honorable House. I haven't gone through the budget and the governor's address yesterday. I must say that indeed this is the budget of hope, and I am optimistic that this budget will advance Delta into the more agenda of His SNS. I am particularly happy that he inherited and he is still doing more for Delta. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, the governor even went as far as approving payments of outstanding promotion arrears of the workers in the public service. And also, Mr. Speaker, I am delighted that in this budget, the sum of 150 billion naira was budgeted for my constituency is lack of road. And I believe that this budget will address the pains of the notion of people, which I represent. So I enjoy other members to support this bill.
Thank you, member representing Ndokwa East. Ndokwa West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Of affairs is very conscious of where we are at the state. Very conscious of the fact that people as a country are bringing them out of Plenary and involving them in the economic activities of the state. Target putting the economy on the path of sustainable development and growth by enhancing the use of any business in the state. Our state is in dire need of investments. And this particular budget, the kind of fiscal discipline that we're seeing here, is bound to attract both foreign and local investors to Delta State. You would have thought that because it's the new government, that government will be very anxious and very busy increasing budget size. This budget is almost 100 billion less than the budget of last year. And even with that, it's promises to do a lot for our people. I want to end, Mr. Speaker, by mentioning concerning particularly the area of education, where about 46.5 billion has been allocated. For those who do not know, education is the single biggest industry in Nigeria. With this type of allocation, it is very clear that we maintain our leadership position in education. Let me end, Mr. Speaker, by ending a bit on the issues of the policy. It says, we recognize that education is not only a means to personal development, but also a key driver of economic growth, social mobility, and national competitiveness. We will prioritize investments in technical education and vocational training. We believe that these sectors have the potential to transform our economy by creating a skilled workforce that is equipped to meet the demands of modern industry and entrepreneurship. I don't think anything can be more beautiful than this. On this note, Mr. Speaker, I urge my colleagues to give this money bill accelerated attention for the betterment of our dear citizens. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Member representing Unokwa West. Open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Dear colleagues, I've been involved in the preparations of Appropriation Bills in critical times in the history of these states. When we came on board in 2015 to 2016, you know, it was very, very difficult to finance budgets. I want to begin by thanking His Excellency and his economic team. What I've seen has shown that they understand the situation on ground, the economic uncertainty of our country, and this overt implication in Delta states. You must understand these variables for you to prepare a realistic budget. When you look at the capital expedition, the proposed capital expedition, and the recurrent expedition, you discover that they have a difference of 11.4%, which is very, very realistic. In this plan, we are used to deficit budgeting, and that has been affecting us greatly. But with this budget, which is near balancing, it therefore means that some of us will not understand, but let me use it as the opportunity to advise us. Now, what this means is that some of our expectations too, we have to get them reduced. Because this budget did something that surprised me. If you go through properly, there are two instruments that guided the preparation of this budget. The IPSAS, International Public Account Standard System, was clearly followed. Even the Delta States Fiscal Responsibility Law was also followed. We say clearly that you must spend within your budgetary provision as passed by the House. Now, the implication of this is the government in 2024 will operate within the provisions of the budget as approved. And I'm so happy when I look at the ambitiousness of the administration in increasing the internal revenue. Very, very good. In 2003, proposed 105 billion naira. But in 2024, we're having 120 billion as projection, which says the Delta States Internal Board must have put in place machineries to expand the tax net of the states in order to increase internal generated revenue. Mr. Speaker, dear colleagues, I'm so happy with the conclusion of the budget as presented yesterday. If you permit me, I want to read the second line, Mr. Speaker, which says, this budget is emphatic on keeping our expedition within the revenue unit and limits, reducing our debt profile is very, very key. We are told that in 2024, the government will be spending over 32 billion naira to service debts. And so it is very necessary that we keep our debt profile. But if we increase the debt profile, the debt by 2025, we will have a serious problem. So I want to thank His Excellency and this economic team for your job well done. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member representing Okwe. Oshimileno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Frank, and I represent the good people of Oshimileno. And here this afternoon, I've been mandated by them to put our weight behind the support for this budget in bill be passed expeditiously. And I so urge my colleagues. Mr. Speaker, in doing so, or rather before doing so, I wish to commend His Excellency the Governor of Delta State for a timeless presentation of this bill. Not minding the person strike that just ended. I also wish to commend His Excellency the Governor for the very bold steps and trusts he has taken in the past 5-6 months to push forward a more agenda. Ordinarily, more means additional. The governor wants to put more on the table for us. And I commend him for that, for wanting to cut our food according to our size, or rather our cloth. Because if you look at this budget, gentlemen, you'll see that it is near perfect, it's near balanced. And nothing can be better than that, because the projections given are quite realistic. First of fact, 507 billion. Then will be passed. And these are empirical data that can be verified in the short run. In fact, the christening of the budget as a budget of hope and optimism is quite hard. Because from the data available so far, it shows that we have a very, very formidable opportunity of realizing all these figures given, and even more to meet with the governor's more agenda. So I do not have any hesitation at all. So do my constituency in supporting this bill wholeheartedly, and to urge my colleagues to please support same. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member representing Oshimileno North. Member representing Oshimileno South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Legislature, Honorable Member representing the peace-loving people of Oshimileno South State constituency. I want to start by commending His Excellency for being bold and courageous. Given the circumstances that we have in this nation, the philosophy of the budget is very apt. Not to allow anything to aggravate the reflection further. His Excellency understands the position that the social contract has been entered with the people. And as a matter of fact, there is need to balance the issues before the people, to help them navigate the crisis they are going through as it is. His position, as presented yesterday, places a big premium on the fiscal discipline, with emphasis on prudence and judicious expenditures, greater reliance on internal sources of revenue over borrowing is very, very commendable. The choice of open government partnership is the most critical. We must work with the international bodies and other critical stakeholders like the private sectors. The government cannot provide everything. And for people to partner with the government, it must be seen clearly that there is transparency and that the government is accountable to the people that is leading. And that was what His Excellency was able to present looking through the budget presentation he made yesterday. Strengthening the Board of Internal Revenue is very critical because revenue is at the center of development. And for the state to own ownership of what revenue that will come to it and be able to manage what it has is the most critical. So I commend His Excellency for doing that. And in reordering the priorities, for too long we have depended on oil. And now he looks around and reorder the priorities of the government to look at issues of the non-oil sector. And then promoting the small, medium enterprise is most critical because that is where you have the people. So I encourage every member of this honorable house to support this bill. And I want to say to you, Mr. Speaker, that I have the mandate of my people, which means South, from state constituency, to support this bill before this honorable house. Thank you very much.
Thank you, member representing the South. Pakistan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I am Honorable Engineer Emmanuel Matara, member representing the good people of Patani State Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I want to adopt all speech made before me as if they were mine. Mr. Speaker, I lend my voice in support of this bill, this appropriation bill tagged budget of hope and optimism. The 2024 fiscal year budget here before us, it is developmental, therefore I don't want to bore this house with so much words. I want to support this bill. I have the mandate of my people, the people of Patani State Constituency, to wholeheartedly support this bill. I still support this bill.
Thank you, member representing Patani. Saturday, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Okaku Opeki Salon, Chief Whip of the House, a member representing Southwest State Constituency. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is true that proper budget is a simple amount for the economic development of any society. Therefore, look at this document properly. You find that the drafters, the intention of the drafters is to create the greatest happiness to the greatest number of people who get that. Do it properly. And by so doing, sir, I want to also key in to all the views as advanced by my colleagues. They are so fundamental. Now, personally, after due consultation with members of my constituency, there are three fundamental issues. That is why I want to rest my views on these three fundamental issues. One is how to do with physical discipline.
Member representing the counties, please can you sit properly?
It has to do with physical discipline. The essence of it, just like what my other colleagues have found, it will encourage investments. As a research scholar on the development of African states, I have found out that one of the major problems facing African states that have created poverty in the highest level is non-investment. If you look at the Nigerian state today, we are exporting. That's why you see that the dollar is inflated. We are not producing. But when there is fiscal discipline, we are not looking inward. No matter what the governor has decided here. In fact, I want to appreciate the drafters of the government. I want to appreciate them seriously because they very little contribution issues that can even save us. Two, sir, if you look at the monitoring and evaluation, our governor has involved us. The members of ASMA, he has involved us. We are all, we have various committees in this house. The oversight function in the monitoring and evaluation, it said that it's including the tax assembly. What did they say? Because to also participate, it's called participating budgeting. We should be involved. Let us go oversight and monitor these projects because we are representing our people. So we need to be involved. So that is one of my great joy. Monitoring and evaluation. Mr. Speaker, as the chairman has committee on agriculture, it is an internal judgment that the governor is considering non-oil sector. Seriously, they have allocated 7 billion into agriculture. Why the Zoom will not be involved? Why Southwest people will not be involved? Mr. Speaker, quickly, I don't want to call this out, but I want to say that the people of Southland have mandated me to give into the views as part of my member and to tell them that for the singular act that the governor and the state is looking beyond oil and supporting this budget or operation to pass into law. Possibly soonest. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Chief Whip. Thank you so much for keying into the more agenda of His Excellency. Udu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Collins Thomas, member representing Udu constituency. I want to thank His Excellency for this prudent budget proposal as a drafted, a well-planned budget, very realistic to be implemented. I want to lend my full support of this well-planned budget and equally urge my colleagues to support and give it a speedy passage because from what I've studied in the budget, I see that it's to the benefit of shelters at large. Thank you very much.
Thank you, member representing Udu. Quickly not one.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues. I am Matthew Olu-Jigofia Omolabi. First, in order to avoid prolixity, Mr. Speaker, may I first commend the previous speakers who have spoken before me for their erudite submissions. And I say for the submission of the majority leader and the deputy speaker who spoke eloquently and artfully on the 2024 Appropriation Bill, Mr. Speaker, permit me to only adopt the views and the erudite submissions, except portions of the submissions of the majority leader and the deputy speaker that represented my party. I adopt all of their submissions, Mr. Speaker, as mine, and I support the 2024 Appropriation Bill. Most grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, when I stood up to address this honorable house, I only stated the obvious that Deltas and Nigerians at large are facing hardship occasioned by the bad APC-led government. And I have no regret about that.
Sustain.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I am Honorable Spencer Opofa. I represent the great and wonderful people of Ogoni North of 22. Mr. Speaker, because of time, I will crave the indulgence of this House. I am leave, Mr. Speaker, to endorse in total the address of the Chief Whip of this noble House. Mr. Speaker, the Chief Whip of this noble House has lost my mind. But in order to add to that, Mr. Speaker, every analytical mind that have gone through this bill, the Appropriation Bill for the 2024 budget for Delta, we agree with me that, yes, this budget really focuses to give Deltas hope. It is in line with the renewed hope of the APC-led government at the federal level. Mr. Speaker,
any member debating for the provision of this permit order or the Constitution may be immediately called to order by the Mr. Speaker, a country where the exchange rate is 1,250 naira per dollar, it will be laughable if we allow my colleague from Uyeni to tell us that APC-led government
Majority Leader.
is not to the promised land.
Majority Leader.
I beg to disagree with us.
Mr. Majority Leader, I don't think we are starting another debate on that issue. However, I want to sustain your point of order and ask the Speaker to confine himself to the subject matter at hand.
Mr. Speaker, I'm confining myself to the rules of this honorable House. Mr. Speaker, the subject matter as provided order 9, order 9, order 12. Yeah. Room 90 of this House. Mr. Speaker, I'm confining myself to the particularly subject 4 of that order. Mr. Speaker, as I was saying for now, Mr. Speaker, the bill to me is a proposed roadmap for the socio-economic development of our dear states for the year is truly ground for optimism. It's a ground for optimism. Mr. Speaker, I say so because the OGP principle, again, is anchored on the principles of the federal government of this Nigeria.
Point of order.
Please read.
Members shall attend the sittings of the House formally dressed. However, members shall dress in modern traditional attire for every Thursday sitting of the House. Looking at members representing number 2, I cannot see his eyes. I don't know if it's a masquerade. Look at his ID card. We cannot do it with them. So, Mr. Speaker, please allow him to go home.
Please continue, but confining yourself to the subject matter, please.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for protecting me this afternoon. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that this budget, looking at it holistically, what we call for concern, and that for this House, they have opportunity to look into, it is what is allotted to the security of this state, Mr. Speaker, and bringing it to the attention of every member of the House, that this budget, looking at it, the allotment to the security is 1.5 billion, which I feel is relatively low, taking into cognizance of the security challenges in this state, particularly my constituency, Mr. Speaker. On that note, Mr. Speaker, I urge every member
What other majority?
Order 954. A member must confine his contribution to the subjects under discussion and may not introduce matter irrelevant here. Mr. Speaker, at the moment, you have given opportunity for people to speak for. The issue he is bringing up means he's speaking against. Therefore, you should wait. When people who are speaking for finish, then he can introduce the matter. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Something I also want to say that, like I told you the other day, when you want to make any amendment, if you want any adjustment on the budget, please, during the committee of supply, you can make your request known during the committee of supply. Any amendment you want to make on this bill during committee of supply, you can make that. Please conclude.
thank you, Mr. Speaker, for guiding me properly. I take the guidance accordingly. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I have hope that this budget, our Deltas have hope that this budget will lead Deltas to a solid foundation for a better future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you for giving us. No, thank you. Who is out?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable First Professor Leonard Tuama, member representing the good people of the South State constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to speak on behalf of my people today. The bill before us is a fundamental element for the development of the state. Mr. Speaker, the 2024 proposed budget we are considering is for the overall interest of the state, as its focus is on improving road infrastructure, education, health, agriculture, environment, urban renewal, of course, youth development sector of the state. Mr. Speaker, I must commend His Excellency for this budget estimate. It is a realistic budget going by environmental to achieve the estimate in the budget. Mr. Speaker, this budget is in line with international best practice. It is crafted in favor of capital expenditure against recurrent expenditure. The budget has recurrent expenditure of 44.31%, while the capital expenditure is 55.69%. Mr. Speaker, this is how a budget meant for the development should be crafted. I thank His Excellency for sustaining this practice. Mr. Speaker, I urge all my colleagues to put their weight behind this bill in order to ensure its speedy passage. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Member representing Ogilvy House. Ukwala.
Mr. Speaker, I am Okwevich Kodidas, member representing Upani State Constituency. I have the mandate of Parliament to support this bill. Who has it? My people of Upani have an assist. Everybody see the Shilling Bank community. Which means that any festival that will be great and powerful. And if maybe the governor can without the groundbreaking and worry, it would have been another thing. But that is to see that.
Oh, what? You know that the business of the house is English language. Please, you can translate your program in vision in English, not in another language.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker. So in all, I want to say that from the groundbreaking of the flyovers in Warrior and Yafo, because my people are
and by the grace of God, the minority leader of this house. Sometimes, His Excellency, the Governor of Delta State, in the lives of our people and make life more better for my people. I want to use this opportunity to thank the Governor because I was in the secondly, let me start that having gone through the budget and presented by the Government Party, but I will focus on the areas. And the first one is coupled with this current security challenges in the country. Just after this might be my stage, everything possible to work towards that. One thing is to say on that is to work more. I want to get the economy injection so that we do that for all of us. Let me also say that I'm aware and I've read that the Delta State is number one in revenue, in particular education position. We collect the highest in this country. I don't know. So 6 million and we get up to 20 something million. We see what we see how we can make it instead of 0.3
you, Uwe, Minority Leader. Warri South 1.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My very honorable colleagues, Honorable Augustine Boyeje is my name, representing the entire people of Permit me to adopt all the submissions so far here as if they are mine, because they are very, very positive. Well, I will start by saying on behalf of my constituents, I want to urge all the members of this House to give all that is required to pass this budget. Going further, Mr. Speaker, the budget is Christian budget of hope and optimism. The figures are there. 44.31% for recurrent and 55.69% for capital. That is quite reasonable. And today, why is this budget captured budget of hope and optimism? The state of Nigeria today, we need hope. We need hope to strive. And what is the definition of hope? Hope is something that God has called us as human to have, because that is the only thing you cannot take from us. And in governance, as leader, the ability for you to give the leads that hope to move further is very important. And that is why I must thank His Excellency for showing this very, very high leadership quality at this very, very difficult time of ours. Then going further, optimism. Why do we need optimism this time? And what is optimism? We would see and define or look into optimism as a tendency to look on more favorable side of events or conditions and to expect the most favorable outcome. Thus, we must not be discouraged or gloomy, even when life is hard. Good things are around the corner. That is the optimism we need. So, Mr. Speaker, with these figures, facts, and trend of this present government, I want to say thank you to His Excellency. And we have that trust in him that definitely, if all is being done with God being on our side, the state will smile. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Member representing Warri South 1. Warri South 2.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Honorable Chief Benson Obire, member representing the good and hospitable people of Orissa Constituency. Talking about the budget, it is a welcome development. In fact, as I stand before this House, I'm very, very, very glad that Warri, one of the oldest towns in this state, is about to take a new look. The budget is a very, very sound one. Talking about the current and the current expenditure, they are good. Of course, I have the mandate of my people to support this budget in totality. I would not want to speak much. I want to tell the House, in fact, I want to commend the governor for all he has done and his team. They did perfectly well. So for this reason, I'm supporting the budget. My constituent is supporting the budget that it is a laudable one. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Member representing Orissa 2. Dear colleagues, let me thank you for a robust debate. On that note, let me put the question. Those in favor of the motion, as moved by the majority leader and seconded by the member representing Ika North East, that the Appropriation Bill 2024 be read the second time, say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The high level.
A bill for a law to authorize the issue out of the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Government of Delta State of the sum of 316 billion, 559 million, 462,000, 711 naira as recurrent expenditure, and the sum of 397 billion, 854 billion, 851,000, 156 naira as capital expenditure for the services of the year ending on the 31st day of December 2024, and to appropriate same for the purposes specified in the law. Second reading.
Dear colleagues, in line with Order 12, Rule 90/5, the Appropriation Bill 2024 is referred to the Finance and Appropriation Committee. All standing committees shall be subcommittees of the Finance and Appropriation Committee for the consideration of the budget. The Finance and Appropriation Committee should report back on the 13th day of December 2024. That is on Wednesday, the 13th December, on Wednesday, the 13th day of December 2023, or Wednesday, the 13th day of December 2023. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, the last order of the order is adjournment.
Chairman Appropriation, please stop. Majority leader move motion for adjournment.
Thank you very much. My very eloquent, hard-working and dedicated speaker. Mr. Speaker, before the motion for adjournment, permit me to make the following announcement. The House Committee on Housing, Women Affairs, and Humanitarian Affairs shall have their meeting on Monday, the 4th of December 2023 at 12 noon in Committee Room 3. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I move that this Honorable House do now adjourn to the 5th day of December 2023 at 10 a.m. I beg to move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. My name is Adjournment Emako. I represent the good people of OVS constituency and by the grace of God, the minority leader of this house. I stand in my place this afternoon to second the motion ably moved by the majority leader of the House.
Those in favor of the motion that this Honorable House do now adjourn plenary to Tuesday, the 5th day of December 2023, as moved by the majority leader and seconded by the minority leader, say aye.